What if a curse didn't start as a spell at all, but as something invisible in the air? And what if it spreads through a whole serpent kingdom before anyone realizes what's happening? A lot of monster stories focus on what you can see: teeth, venom, attacks. But the deeper theme underneath is always responsibility. In this myth, the danger isn't just in poison. It's in breath, in atmosphere, in something you passively accept without noticing. So let's talk about the curse of Sheshnaag, the serpent-king who sits under so much in these traditions, and the chain reaction that grows from him. At the center is Vasuki, not just Vasuki as a character, but Vasuki as a source of power. And in many tellings, that power doesn't look like an explosion, it looks like fumes. The myth says it can be poison breath, and it doesn't only harm one person and stop. It connects to something bigger, like it's designed to spread. Here's the weird part. How does something as intimate as breath become something as political as a kingdom? And why does revenge later feel like inevitability instead of random violence? All right, start where these myths start, with the structure of the world. In these traditions, serpents aren't just animals, they're forces. Sheshnaag is often described like the weight of the earth, the posture that makes stability real. If stability has a body, it's him. So when Vasuki enters the story, it isn't only adding another name, it's adding a way for power to move, a channel through the kingdom. Some tellings pull Vasuki into bigger cosmic events, big clashes, divine trials, world-shaking moments, but the pattern is similar. Power doesn't stay in the moment, it touches the air around it. This brings us to the struggle of control. A curse sealed in one place can be guarded, but if the curse rides on breath, you can't really bargain. You just adapt. The myth treats Vasuki's fumes like transmission. It catches up to intention, then keeps going after the first moment is over. That's what makes it terrifying. And then the serpent community changes. They start fearing the idea that their own power is out there, moving, finding openings. Even their strength feels like a liability. This is the turning point people miss. The curse isn't only that serpents are attacked. A serpent network is formed. Not just meetings and laws, but a web of effects. The serpent is circulation. It moves, it wraps, it links. So when the curse is described as fumes, that language fits perfectly. The poison becomes a kind of invisible governance. Now quick pause, because people get lost trying to measure myth like it's biology. The point isn't to turn mythology into a science experiment. The point is that invisible things are often the most dangerous. The habit that spreads, the rumor that settles, the fear that changes how people act tomorrow. We have Vasuki's fumes and a dangerous web. But now the story pushes back on something else people assume, that everything is just rage. Garuda's revenge in many tellings isn't random violence. It's the response of a being who's been waiting inside the moral logic of the tale, like the story itself has rules. Garuda is tied to a vow, a promise. In this world, vows aren't decoration, they're contracts with reality. Break the promise, or tolerate a wrong too long, and the story remembers. So what does Garuda see? A serpent kingdom being poisoned by its own dangerous breath. Not just harm happening, but a whole system learning to operate differently. This is the struggle stage. Both sides have reasons to act. Neither side can return to innocence. The serpent network is deadly, and Garuda's hunger for justice is cosmic, not personal. And the myth makes revenge feel almost unbearable. Not clean, not simple. It's shown as necessity, like the next step in a chain reaction you can't pretend didn't happen. Then, the curse reveals two faces. One face is visible suffering, venom effects, death, chaos, fear. But the other face is spiritual corrosion. Something in the kingdom's soul gets changed. Because when power behaves like poison breath, it doesn't only kill bodies, it reshapes behavior. It makes hiding feel normal and cruelty feel justified as protection. So how could Vasuki's fumes become a deadly network? Treat the fumes like influence. It spreads through proximity, it shifts interpretation, it turns choices into predictable patterns. That's why Garuda feels inevitable. The network keeps talking, even when nobody is speaking. And the last question lands the same way it began. What if a curse started as something invisible in the air, and you only noticed it once the whole kingdom was already breathing it in?